All right, today, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to learn about archaeology and history from the best source on the planet. No, I'm not talking about me. I mean Indiana Jones, the man who's punched 1,000 Nazis and found the Holy Grail itself. So buckle up, put on your fedora, and grab your whip, because today we're not just exploring a game, we're going back in time to uncover some real history. So let's dive in. You know, I've always found South American archaeology to be really cool. It's a real treasure trove of history. You've got Peru with iconic sites like Machu Picchu up high in the Andes. It's really, really interesting. Other sites like Chan Chan, the world's largest adobe city. You have some of the earliest sites in the Americas there. Um, Peru's not the only star. You've got Argentina's Cave of Hands. It has some really neat ancient rock art. Bolivia has some really cool sites as well. Um, got some really kind of dry, remote environments that help preserve the archaeology there and keep it in very pristine condition. Okay, that man's fired and he's not getting paid. Okay, let's talk about archaeology in the Indiana Jones movies. We all love the adventures, but there's one thing that real archaeologists might cringe at, and that's the reckless destruction of artifacts and sites. The truth is, archaeology back in the day wasn't all about breaking stuff on purpose, but it wasn't exactly delicate either. Old school methods weren't as refined, so there was some accidental damage. Archaeology is a relatively young field, and unfortunately, digging into a site can disturb its stratigraphy. Basically, it messes things up in a way you can't fix. But luckily, today's science is way ahead of its time. We can analyze things now that would have blown people's minds just 50 years ago. So we are making some progress.
This was Forrestal's favorite.
Why did they leave these things behind?
I think they were intent on coming back.
Okay, let's talk about caves. Cave archaeology is like the VIP section of the archaeological world. Caves offer an awesome natural fridge, preserving materials that would have rotted away at other sites. You get things like textiles, wood, and even plant remains. Things that you don't usually survive the elements. Plus, caves are kind of natural vaults for all sorts of human activity tools, art, burials, you name it. Some caves even have footprints that have been perfectly preserved, from Paleolithic cave art to mummified remains in South America. Caves give us a rare opportunity to peek into ancient lives. So there's been a ton of golden artifacts found in Peru. So what do you think you would do? Would you turn it into a museum or stash it away, sell it? Remember, Indiana Jones is listening very closely, so don't disappoint. Feel free to comment below with your answer. Sorry to burst your bubble here, but there's not much evidence to support all those elaborate traps you see in the movies. In fact, sophisticated traps are more of a myth than a reality in most archaeology sites. So, no Indiana Jones boulder chases, right? But we can still, have that in our imagination.
Well, where the hell were you? Damn it, don't you leave me down here by myself!
Man, he's working some late hours. I hope he's getting some overtime for that. So let's talk about theft. Museum heists were rampant back in the 1930s. One of the most famous incidents happened in 1937 when two men posing as cops stole 13 priceless works of art from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. Among them were works by Vermeer, Rembrandt, and Degas, who all worth over 500 million. To this day, they're still missing, and the museum's offering a $10 million reward to anyone who can help solve the case. So hey, if you know what's going on with this, provide the information. You may get a $10 million reward.
Gotta be some vagrant.
Fun fact about smelling salts. They date back to Roman times, but they really became popular during the Victorian era to revive women who fainted. Kind of like they did back in the 1990s when they saw Fabio on a cover of a romance novel.
I didn't see any giant.
I caught someone breaking into the museum. He was tall.
We should look around for the exhibits that were in this display.
Ancient Egyptian, obviously.
Bastet, the
depiction of
Egyptian
Bastet.
goddess of protection, pleasure, and good health. And yes, she had the head of a cat. Because why not? I mean, cats are cool. Everybody likes cats. So why not have a cat head? If you're a goddess, you can pretty much do whatever you want,
Looks right, Indy. SW 003. What was that?
Siwa expedition. He took the cat mummy, Marcus.
Actually, in ancient Egypt, cats were sacred,
Why?
and they were often mummified as offerings to Bastet. I mean, if your cat's that sacred, you'd want to keep them around forever too, right?
You can't just run away from your problems, Indiana.
Watch me.
So aviation in 1937 was getting better and better. 1937 was the year Amelia Earhart was out there trying to fly around the world.
Vatican not safe.
You also
Stop.
had
We'll wait for you at
commercial
Village
flights
Steps.
were getting
Stop.
quicker
Saturday
and better.
is a virtue.
United
Stop.
Airlines
Antonio.
was cutting down the New York to San Francisco trip to just 16 hours. I don't want to think about how long it would take to take that by car back then, but that was state of the art back then. Castel Sant'Angelo in Rome started as a mausoleum for Emperor Hadrian and his family, but it became a fortress in the 4th century. After being destroyed by the Visigoths when they sacked Rome, it was later converted into a museum. So it really has some interesting history behind it. So while Indiana Jones is a fictional character, there have been many real-life archaeologists who moonlighted as spies. Dorothy Cox is just one example, an American archaeologist who was recruited as a spy and helped gather intel in Turkey and Greece. No fedora, but definitely some cool spy skills. I've noticed a lot of batons in this game, just kind of the history behind it. I think it's related to the mace. And became more common in the 1800s. However, thanks to its overuse during the civil rights movement, it became the symbol of negative public perception. Today, you're more likely to see it in a museum than with law enforcement. I'll just leave this crutch here for you when I'm done with it. I love when games kind of provide a great view of what things might have looked like back hundreds or even thousands of years ago. It's just really cool to kind of see that. So radios were invented in the late 1800s. Radio technology continued to advance in the 1900s with aircraft starting to use it for navigation. FM radio, that wasn't patented until 1933, but it helped make radio an essential tool during World War II. War dogs have been used throughout history, from the Egyptians to the Romans, and even by the Spanish conquistadors. These brave canines played key roles in battle, serving as protectors, trackers, and even attack dogs. The concept of a guard dog goes back to ancient civilizations where they were valued not only for their loyalty but also for their strength and fierce instincts. For example, in ancient Rome, dogs were often used in warfare to intimidate enemies or assist in hunting. The Spanish conquistadors also relied on large mastiffs during their campaigns, using them against Native American tribes. I haven't found any evidence for war cats, but, you know, maybe they didn't write about that.
Sweet dreams.
As a kid, I always dreamed of having a hidden room in my house. Maybe I'll finally get around to it one day. You know, just for all the cool artifacts I'll definitely find one day. Or maybe just all the interesting books I want to hide away in the restricted section. Alright, who here has gone ziplining? Feel free to comment down below. It's fun, right? Well, in ancient China, they used zip lines to transport goods across dangerous terrain, and the Inca had their own versions to cross steep valleys. It wasn't all about the thrill, just a little practical engineering to make life a little bit easier for them. So I just went into Bastion San Marco. It's part of the Vatican's Renaissance era fortifications. It was built to protect the Vatican, and it still stands as a reminder of the Vatican's efforts to safeguard itself against all kinds of threats.
Ma che? Meglio controllare. Sarà facile.
I really want to use this fly swatter against somebody. I don't know, I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but let's see if I can knock somebody out with it maybe. The history of the fly swatter is surprisingly pretty interesting. It became popular in the early 1900s, originally designed to take down pesky flies, but hey, let's try to use it to knock out a Nazi.
Should be fun.
Okay, well, it wasn't very effective, but, you know, I did the rest of the work with my hands, so that's something. Alright, that's it for today, guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment down below. I intend to kind of keep making some of these videos. It's a little bit about gaming and just kind of having fun, but also give some historical facts and context behind these games I really love to play, these history games.
On his way to the castello.
Father Ventura?